Welcome. My name is Danijel Višević, and I'm the president of the Global Young Entrepreneur Society, an international organization supporting exceptional young people in accomplishing their entrepreneurial ambitions. Joining me today is Danijel Višević, co-founder and general partner of the World Fund, an organization that invests in climate tech with significant emission reduction potential. Before his work with the World Fund, Danijel was managing editor at Deutsche Welle and was a communication strategist for German Chancellor Angela Merkel. We are very pleased to welcome Danijel Višević.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
Today, you are a founding partner of the largest climate tech fund in Europe. What is your story?
A comparably unusual, I would say. So it was not. It was a huge bet when I started with my co-founders and partners to build World Fund in the year 2020, January 2020, because as you mentioned previously, I was working for Angela Merkel for 5 years, being co-responsible for her audiovisual appearance, explaining her politics with video and images. So was an interesting time, quite close to her. Before that, I was a journalist, as you mentioned, also for Deutsche Welle, mainly working. But my focus was very much on venture capital and startups. So the ecosystem is nothing new to me. So I was reporting about venture capital and startups since basically maybe a time when you have not been born, around 2000, 2001. And so my story is that I'm driven by the climate crisis. I understand what we have upon us. I understand that if we don't act fast, there will be severe consequences. I mean, there are already, but it's nothing compared to what will happen if we don't act. And as you can see, I was trying to kind of impact through storytelling and writing and reporting. I was a TV journalist. I was also trying to impact through working in politics. I mean, Angela Merkel was a very powerful leader, understanding the climate crisis in depth as a physicist with a PhD and having been the Minister for Environment in Germany before that, and the chairman of the very first COP1, which took place in 1995. But still, I have to admit it was quite frustrating to see how slow things move, how passive I am if I write stories about it, how slow things move in politics. And I understood that it will be the entrepreneurs who will make that transformation happen that we need. And I feel very, very confident and very proud also to have built World Fund as the leading European climate tech VC, investing into those founders, brilliant minds who are building climate technologies that will help us to prevent the worst consequences of the climate crisis.
Are there any leadership lessons you learned from working with Chancellor Merkel?
Definitely compromises, listen, be curious, learn, be humbled, integer, don't say A and do B, but stick to your values and stick to your what you say you will do it. But the compromises thing when it comes to climate crisis is something I have to confess struggling with. You can't make compromises with physics.
Where do you see the biggest climate opportunities in Europe?
All over the sectors where the emissions appear. So definitely it is food and agriculture and land use. We have leading technologies in precision fermentation, creating food, not only out of the lab, but in factories that we already have in Europe and that have started to scale up and to produce meat alternatives that taste better, that are more nutritious, and that are emitting 97% less than cattle, beef. So I'm speaking while I'm saying that I'm thinking of Enough Food, which is a company based in the UK with factories in the Netherlands where we invested, but there's many more examples like that. Then definitely the industry sector, huge. So where we have huge emissions and we need to reduce them. Transportation sector is very close to it. Energy sector is close to it. So I'm thinking of battery recycling companies, battery manufacturers. It's incredible how prices have gone down, and this will be even more visible throughout the next years. And maybe last but not least, the building sector, where we have fantastic software built, AI-driven, that can reduce energy consumption significantly, but also companies like EcoWorks that have developed a technology that can retrofit houses and increase the energy efficiency level from the class H to A plus, so that you really save a lot of money, and don't need to heat as you have needed to do that before. So this is all technologies that will change the face of our planet, or the way we live, the way we work very soon. And that's something we should be optimistic about.
What types of people are best suited to be climate tech founders?
Of course, there's opportunities for everyone. Of course, you're asking about founders. Founders should not only understand the technology they are building and the solution they're trying to bring into the markets, but they should also be fantastic leaders. And for that, you need to be empathetic. You need to understand. You need to be able to listen, to be curious, right? What we said before about Angela Merkel. You need to have those soft qualities, which are called soft qualities as well, which are even more important than to be a deep understanding of the technology that you're building. Because when you're leading a team, you won't be the one building the tech. You need to hire people that are better than you. You need to lead them, and you need to be having the vision and the goal, and able to describe it, to make the people that work for you to believe in what they're working with you together on. So there's many things a founder needs to bring on the table, so to say, but don't overestimate those specific things that people the founder can hire should be able to do better than he or she does.
What metrics do you consider most important when evaluating climate startup investments?
Speaking of the founders, and let me add something to the previous question, definitely grit and resilience, and is something a founder needs to have. As a founder, so many companies fail. You need to understand that, but not give up too fast. You need to be able, of course, to pivot as well, but you need to be able to still stay optimistic in situations, and those situations every founder goes through, in situations where maybe your team is also doubting. Don't be blind for problems, challenges that are maybe too big to tackle. Sometimes you're too early. Sometimes the tech is not right that you're doing. So rethink, listen, but have the grit. And so when you talk about climate metrics and looking at climate tech startups, of course, team, founder, the earlier the startup is, the more important the team is. Team is always important, but at the start, there's basically the only thing you can look at. And if you recognize a founder to be strong and having all the characteristics I described before, bet on him, bet on her, he will be successful sooner or later. Maybe not with the first company she or he's building, but the next for sure. And then, of course, when it comes to hard metrics that we measure as World Fund, we call it the Climate Performance Potential, CPP. Mainly, it is about emission savings potential, because we believe in a world of decarbonization, those startups building technologies that can decarbonize significantly will be among the most valuable companies of the next decade. So we are capitalists. We want to make sure to invest in the most valuable companies of the next decade. And this is the crucial KPI we are looking at. Then, of course, it's not only about emission reductions potential, right? Sticking to the impact KPI, we also look if it's doing harm in other ways. You can also have technologies that can reduce emissions, but do significant harm somewhere else. We check that. So we have more impact goals than only that one. But besides impact, we of course look at the equity story. Is this company we are investing in able to return the whole fund, right? So as a venture capitalist, you need to go high risk, and you make with one fund maybe 25 bets, invest in 25 or even more companies, make sure they all have the potential to return the fund, because that's the VC game. 90% of those won't return the fund. Make sure at least one of those is really huge. But every company invested should have this potential. And last but not least, competitive landscape. Speak with the competitors, check the alternative technologies or the same technologies that are built by other teams. Make sure to bet on the right team and the right tech.
Do you believe significant emissions reductions are compatible with economic growth?
Absolutely. They are even an indicator for growth and for scaling. And I think it's easy to understand. As said, we are living in a world of decarbonization where it will be more and more expensive to emit. If you have the emission savings in mind as well, you will, with a higher probability, that at least as our thesis, we all believe in, you will with a higher probability bet on the right tech, on the right team, on the right company, with a higher probability to become valuable and to return the fund. So it's not an if, but it's if you want to make sure to invest in a successful, financially successful company, have CPP in mind.
Which cities are becoming the hubs for climate tech innovation?
Now, as we are a European fund, we consciously have chosen Berlin and Munich to have our offices in. We are a German fund. So here, at least in Germany, most climate tech startups are built. And of course, you have strong hubs in other European countries. London, always strong. Paris made some leaps. Stockholm, Amsterdam, where we also have an office. Copenhagen, with also a strong technical university, as Zurich, for example. And I'm missing out on, of course, many other cities. But those are the cities where we see that in terms of climate tech and superior technologies, most promising founders are appearing. Worldwide, of course, the US has also strong tech, strong universities, strong spin-offs. And in Asia, of course, there's China, where I'm not so familiar with the strongest universities and technologies, but you can already see when it comes to the green transition, if it is renewable energies or batteries or EVs, China is in the lead, and this has a lot to do with their R&D spendings and brilliant founders they're also bringing up.
But you only invest in Europe?
Correct. So we are a world fund. We can invest worldwide, but we have learned that strongest climate tech is in Europe, combined with lowest valuations. So on the one hand, we in Europe are very strong to invest billions, if not trillions, in climate technologies on EU level, national state level, corporates. It's incredible what we are able to build. But then when based on those technologies and based on those huge investments, startups appear and are built, we are, and I can't phrase it differently, we are too stupid to continue investing this capital to bring those technologies to market, scale them, and build the most valuable companies and corporates of the next decade. So that's also our mission, right? To fill that huge gap. And our capital is only a drop in the ocean, unfortunately. So that's why we stick to Europe. We see huge, we are deeply embedded in that network. And we also want to see Europe, be strong in the competition with especially North America and Asia. Yeah, so we should, there's some maybe European pride also, or geostrategic interest that we also in a certain way have to support the continent we are home at.
Are there enough venture capitalists investing in climate tech in Europe?
Definitely not enough VC, definitely not enough big funds. So when I spoke about that financial investment gap, it's mainly a gap that appears in Series B. So in the early growth stage, we have pre-seed seed investors where you do tickets of 500K, a million, 2, 3, up to 5. No problem in Europe. But when it comes to rounds where you need capital of 30, 40, 50 million plus, we struggle. And especially when it's deep tech companies where hardware plays a role, where you don't have the revenues as you would have with an app that you built that is B2C, and you already have revenue and potentially even some profits. The capital need, the capex need, but also opex is higher. So this is where we in Europe fail, and why we don't have enough VCs, and even the VCs we have are too small.
What are your views on work-life balance?
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Stay healthy, have things you do regularly besides building the company or working for a company. Very, very important to stay healthy. So accept your weaknesses is maybe another thing. And I'm saying that because too many people don't accept their weaknesses. They compare themselves not to others, but to their ideal, especially when you're younger age. Focus on your strengths, accept your weaknesses, embrace them, love them, because they also show you where your strengths are. If you understand that, with high probability, you will stay healthy. Then I also want to add, still, it's, if you are really ambitious, and especially as a founder, of course, you dedicate your life to it. And so also understand that that it's work, and it is hard work. You need grit, you need resilience, and it's not a 9-to-5 job. So 9 to 5, I doubt that anyone has built something great working 9 to 5.
Do you believe Germany is a good place to start a company today?
Yes, definitely. It's a good place to start a company. There's, especially in climate, huge understanding from the corporate side, from the side of politics, from the side of the population. So there's a lot of tailwind. Then we have strong tech, a lot of patents, right? So you have strong workforce, and also the new migration law that started end of last year, and the next phase was kicked off in March this year. It allows also to really get best talent to Germany. So I think we have now I'm so happy. We have the most progressive labor migration law in place now. And this is something I think the world still has to learn, because Germany is complicated in terms of bureaucracy, but there was a huge change happening under the current government. And I think it will help startups and founders a lot to attract the best people. So it's a great place to be here and to build.
What books that had a major influence on you would you recommend for young entrepreneurs?
I saw that question before, right? And I thought a lot, because there's, of course, many books that tell you how to build companies, etc. And I have to confess that not a single book convinced me as much as the two books I will mention now. the one book I really recommend is from Daniel Kahneman, Thinking, Fast and Slow. It's a book where you learn how much in life is fortune, that you are lucky. Of course, you, with grit, resilience, with hard work, with diligence, you can achieve a lot, but you're so dependent on occasions, on serendipity. And this teaches you two things. The one is keep your eyes always open for such moments. And the second is stay humble. Stay humble. The successful you are, 90% plus is luck. It is as strong as and as good as you are. Stay humbled. And there will always be times where you will be unsuccessful. Understand why it is, but don't blame yourself too much and keep it up. And the second book, and it's also not a book which VCs or successful founders would recommend. I don't know, it's not typical. It's Humankind from Rutger Bregman, a Dutch author. Book came out, I think, year 2020 or 2021. And it's about humankind, where you really see there's a misunderstanding of people, that too often we have the impression that we are wolves, that we are, I don't know, that people are not honest, that they are egoistic, and the opposite is the case. We are social beings. We are altruistic. We love to help people. We love to work in teams. We are social beings. We love to love, right? And he writes about so many examples where he proves who we are, and this is giving also optimism. So this is also something. If I would have read that earlier, I mean, Lord of Flies, for example, which I read in school, and I thought, okay, humans are so horrible. When you put them on an island, they will fight each other and kill each other. Bullshit. That's one example where he explains why the book was written in 1945, the author, what's the background, and that something like that in reality even happened, that young people accidentally somehow landed on an island and had to survive. And what did they do? They helped each other, and they survived because of this social and altruistic human kind we are. So this is the two books I would recommend: Daniel Kahneman, Thinking, Fast and Slow, and Humankind from Rutger Bregman.
Thank you so much for those book recommendations. We have come to the end of today's discussion, which I found rather insightful. On behalf of the Global Young Entrepreneur Society, Danijel Višević, thank you very much for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It was an honor and a pleasure. Keep it up.